Hello guys, Wahoo here, back with another episode of State of Trove, the community podcast. This time around with Zero, and you might be wondering why it says Trove livestream recapper. Well, we'll get into that and why. You probably also saw it on the maybe the thumbnail or the title of the video if you saw it like that. If you didn't, if you're seeing this on YouTube, of course. But we haven't had a lot of news. We are actually in a dry spell. You probably saw this also on the news show, is that we haven't had a live stream or a dev live stream for 3 weeks. So Zero has actually been out of work for 3 weeks.
It's been a nice break.
Yeah. But we'll get, I will get into that. So we will go over some not so much new stuff compared to Trove, but we'll talk a lot about what is it that Zero actually does, and many other questions about what it is that he does. So of course we will like we always do, start with getting to know him. So first of all, thank you so much, Zero, for taking the time and coming on and explaining what you're doing, and it's good to have you on, man.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm looking forward to it.
So could you tell us just a little bit about your personal life without, telling like where you live or anything like that, but just a little bit about like some overall stuff around your personal life or you?
Yeah, not a problem. So, well, I've been playing Trove for the last 4 years. So I started off playing on the Rift servers back when they were actually fun to actually hang around with, and then kind of just went into more of the Trove bit back when it came into beta. So I've always done a bit of community work in that from the actual start, really.
Helped out Rift,
from Rift, and then went into Trove. But I tried to play around for a little bit first, get my hanging around it. I work as a support secretary in a hospital, so I do a load of typing myself, so that'll be one of the reasons why I kind of got into this role. Just the community factor of it all and the amount of people I had to deal with kind of just fell into it, and it was a second coming kind of thing. I was like, oh yeah, I don't mind doing this, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's right from there.
and sorry, what was it you said you did? You were a...
I'm a support secretary, so I help out the secretaries in the specialities that we have in the hospital. So I've just done 3 specialities as of last week, and this week I am going to be learning 4 more areas to cover. So bit different, bit daunting, but I'm hoping it'll be a good challenge.
Yeah. As long as you enjoy the job, and then it really doesn't matter what you do, right? It's yeah.
That's hopefully the main thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Lovely bunch of people, at least, so...
That's the main thing as well. Colleagues are also very important. Yeah.
I'm just hoping the doctors will be nice.
Yeah, that's also true. So yeah, a little bit about you, but the main thing is, of course, also Trove, and you touch on it a little bit like yourself. So maybe the first question would be, how did you get started on like Trove? You talked about Rift, but...
Well, I started back in beta. I didn't hear anything about it from when it was an alpha, and it kind of... I made one account, which wasn't this one, and then after a few months of playing for a bit, honestly forgot what my account details were, and was like, oh yeah, I remember playing back then, and then people were talking about Warp Seed months ago, and I was like, yeah, I remember that. I don't remember what I was doing on there, but I remember that. And I was like, oh, I'm sure that was alpha, and I went, oh, okay, and maybe I did play back when it was an alpha. I said, I have no idea. I went into Rift, and then Rift did that promotion with the Budgie Vox, where you'd get it in game if you leveled one of your classes up. So I jumped back into Trove on that and thought, oh yeah, I can get my mastery to that. That'll be no problem. Play around for a bit, and then I started to just keep coming back to Trove, and it was like, I don't want to play Rift now. I like this. It's fun.
Yeah, I think that's one of the well done things. I don't think that Joinworld is the only one that ever done that, but it is a good. And as you said, there's probably, like, you played probably a good amount of Rift, right? And then you get a taste of Trove, and then you're actually in Trove also, maybe, or only that one of the games, right? So I think that, like I said, that's something that joinworld have done very well is that they make sort of like small teasers for the other games in the other games they have. Like,
it's good the way that they do the crossovers to give you a little taster out of something else, like when they put the Chloromancer in, so that you had an extra option to be able to try and get something and then try it out.
For sure.
So it got one community to try out a different part and become another community, and if you liked both, then you played both.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
as you said yourself, you played in alpha. Like, I have the same kind of deal. I don't know. I can't remember if I played. People ask when I played, and I can't remember if it was alpha or beta or even after that or anything like that. So I totally understand if it kind of be like,
it's definitely beta on this account. I know that much. I can't remember doing any alpha stuff on this account, so it must just be an old one that I really cannot remember any details of. So it's just lying there somewhere now.
And I think that's the one of the things with Trove is that I don't really really don't get a start date. I feel like, because it's kind of they made a game, and then it really wasn't much, and now it's more, and I think it's maybe still in development, if you could call it like that, and needs more work still maybe.
They've always got a bit more that they can add into it.
Yeah.
So can you remember yourself like when you actually joined, from how far back, or is it just now a distant memory?
Yeah, for me it's definitely a distant memory now. Like I remember when I started again. That is when they had their first year anniversary. That's when I started playing again, and I've never played since then. But I can't remember when I played before that, because I did have an account I started back on. So, and at least it was.
What was the first what was the first class that you picked when you came back?
I already had played or had some power rank on the boomeranger, so I played that as the first class I went back to. So I think I had like a 1600 power rank or something like that, and I remember the lowest or the highest prime world you could have back then. That was 6. So it's
6,
yeah, it's something before that, I think. All right, cool. Well, I think we reminisced enough. Let's go to the present and talk about your, where are you at in the game? Perhaps power rank, mastery wise, or?
For power rank, I'm just short of 26k on my main, which is a Shadow Hunter. I tend to play that more than anything else. I just have a feel for it. I know it's just one of those you can hold down button and then it'll shoot and kill everything, but I've just always grown a fondness and liking for it. Maybe just that from the ranging classes, because the first ever one I ever tried was the Gunslinger when that was out. So I keep that for my power rank. Everything else is kind of failing in comparison, but there's enough resources there to get it up. It's just a willingness to maybe want to go back onto the other classes. So these reworks are kind of making me want to go back and try different things. As for mastery, I'm 577 on Trove, and geode 51, because I'm just getting into that with a bunch of people, and it's quite fun so far. So total in just 628. So a long way to go, but a lot of effort put into it.
Yeah. Well, Geode is fun, and some people ask still if they need to go into it, and I still suggest that people do,
Just to at least try the different type of content for it.
Yeah, I suggest that people do like the quest line, the 36 steps thingy, to just get a feel of what it is, and you do get thrown a lot of amazing things just from the quest line itself. So yeah,
and it streamlines it quite well too, so it actually gets more people into. I mean, some people are like, "Oh, I don't know where this is, I can't find it," but it does have enough information there for you to get into it and carry on. So they've done really well with that.
Yeah, they have, putting us making guides out of business. All right, so how do you play the game? Like that's maybe a little bit of a wonky question, but I'm gonna like elaborate it on a little bit. So are you're a person that plays like just Trove, for example, for many hours, or do you play like a little bit some days, more other days, or do you basically just play it because of friends or?
Well, I'll play it for a couple of hours after work, before tea time or maybe a little bit afterwards. Started grouping up with a few more people now because of Geo, just because the content feels much better. Just having a few more people to run around with and talk to and coordinate with. So that's mainly that for the week. As for the weekend, it's kind of a whatever comes up. If a family situation comes up or something with friends, or if I get called in to do extra hours, then that will take precedence. Other than that, then I just jump on whenever I feel like it and play around. But no real set times for it.
No, so it's not like your when I say main game, don't take it as that's the only, like, but you won't, you know what I mean, right? Like when I say main game, that's your the game you absolutely play every single day, and like I said, for at least a couple hours or many hours.
At the moment, Trove is my main game. I've fallen behind from other areas. They just lack what I actually have an enjoyment in. Or I'm just not finding things that I originally used to play, because I mean, I'm not the oldest person in the world, but I still prefer some of the old games that came out on the previous consoles. So I'm going back to them and re-downloading them on different versions and seeing them in different detail, and then trying them again and going, oh yeah, that was great, I remember, great childhood, and going, right, I'm bored now, I'll go back and play some more Trove.
Yeah.
It's just nothing's coming to light, and then you see all these amazingly graphics games, or they've got great storylines or character development, and it's but Trover's got blocks, and that you can do a lot with blocks. So I'm gonna go play Trove.
Yeah, and for me, I don't know if other people have it, if you have it like this, but it's just like Trove is just so rewarding in doing like very little. I feel like, so if you do a little, because you also have a job and I also have a job, and I feel like it has the right amount of like content every day, so you can take some off days, and like for example Tuesdays where there's just gathering, if you're not like into gathering a whole bunch, but you can take like a day off. But so
sometimes you get to the point where you are just logging in, getting what we'd call dailies in most games, really. Like in the case of this one, you pick up everything that's in L. You might go to Geode and hatch some eggs, do a reliquary, and go, right, I haven't really got time for anything else today. I'll log off now, and then leave the next bit for the next day.
Yeah, exactly. And also now we don't have any login tokens. It doesn't require that much to log in.
Them.
But yeah. I know some people have been asking recently also about the login tokens, if we're ever going to get them back, but I hope so at some point. We don't know, but would be nice.
Or at least some kind of system that plays to that kind of idea. Maybe with a few less bugs than the last one.
Yeah, for sure. But I really liked the Radiant Dayspring. As a concept, I really liked it because, and that goes hand in hand with Luxion, the dragon, is that every 14 days with the dragon, there's possibly something really nice in there for you. And some weeks or fortnight, whatever you're going to call it, there is not going to be anything for you. It's going to be like, oh, that's going to be a little bit sad. But then you're still going to be like, next time he's there, he's still going to be like, oh, maybe there's something for me this time. Of course, if you have everything with your like top mastery, whatever, it's probably pretty disappointing. But it's kind of the same thing with the Radiant Dayspring. It was like once a month, then you saw what it was and you kind of worked towards it. And then you were like, when you're getting to the end of the month, it's like, oh, in a couple of days, it's going to change the month. And then we're going to have something new, what it's going to be, right?
And then you'd hope that you save enough dragon coins up for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I really like the idea of Luxion, to be honest. Just the way that it was implemented in for what they wanted to do. It was, bring in new things, but bring in the old things that people will have missed. So that if you were aiming to hopefully eventually get everything that you possibly can in the game, whichever style of gameplay that you play. You could go, oh yeah, I missed that event back in 2015, and yes, they haven't released it back into Chaos Chess. Well, how am I going to get this again? Oh, we'll put it in Luxion, and then you've got a chance to get it. And then you're like, oh no, I missed it in Luxion because now I don't have enough dragon coins. I guess I'll wait a year and see if it comes back again.
Yeah.
So it always has something for each type of player, whether it be one new mount or an ally for one of the end gamers, or if it's something from the Radiant Dayspring that you've missed because you weren't able to log in every single day and get your tokens. So it has that little fallback there that you've got an extra way to try and obtain something. So it works great hand in hand with what it was.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, especially that, you know, it's like Christmas, right? You don't know what you're getting in your gift. It's kind of like the same thing here. You know, you don't know you're gonna expect. Like, is there gonna be a lot of things for me? Is gonna be like none things for you or whatever, right? So that is the sheer excitement also waves in that I think it's or waves in is really amazing.
At least the one thing that we know that will be coming for at least the foreseeable future will be the souls, so that we can try and get Luxarion.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever gonna be out anymore, be taken out of his rotation at some point, because set somebody coming back to the game in like half a year, you know, they have to have some kind of way of obtaining this dragon as well, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so so the next question is, I don't know, some people find it a little bit weird, but I liked it because it's the mindset. I like to ask people about their mindset for the game, because there's some people that, you know, just put the, you know, heads in the sand or whatever you're gonna say, just grind the things out. For example, you know, if it's a dragon, you know, for example, the bee dragon, just farm all the fragments, farm everything else. And then there's other people, maybe like me, that takes a little bit of a slower approach to it and just takes the time and I'll get it eventually kind of deal. Or also the people that needs to absolutely be like the number one, or either mastery or power rank. So how your kind of mindset for the game? Are you the hardcore or like more casual?
I'm going to have to go with the casual one and agree with you on that. The game's there for you to enjoy it and take it at your own pace. So it's like when I'm giving advice to anybody and they go, oh, how do I get this? Or how do I get that? I say, well, you know, calm down. It's going to be here for the rest of your life. Don't worry. You can get it at your own steady pace. Or if you want to rush it because you really feel like you need it, then you go for that. You set yourself a goal. You can go and obtain it. But like with the higher mastery people, they've got something there to aim for. It gives them their next sense of purpose. Like, if I do not get this in a reasonable amount of time, I will lose whatever at that moment. Like when we had the leaderboards and you were actually getting rewarded for it, it was more of a, oh, you'll actually get an item. Now it's more just for status. But yeah, I prefer to just play it as and when I can. I have my items saved up, and then when I feel, oh, do you know what, I might use this now, then I'll do it then.
Yeah.
Play it as you want and actually have some fun in it. Otherwise, if I do it too fast, I might not have anything left over to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually talked to another streamer yesterday, actually, and he was saying he's playing Destiny now. It's AM, if you know him. He also used to play Trove, and he still hits it up once in a while. But the point is that I asked him yesterday, why wasn't he like we wanted him back playing Trove, right? And he said, well, it was missing content. And I could kind of see, like, he plays for many hours every day, and I kind of feel like Trove, there is some content, you know, for example, maybe the 300 runs of Shadow Towers or for the Hydra and also the Dreadnought that can kind of create some kind of long-term or longer-term, I guess, what was it called? Gameplay, and also farming some fragments. For example, just take the Starfire fragment. Takes a
yeah. I don't want to talk about that one.
And that can create, you know, some kind of gameplay. But I see that if you play it many hours every day, Trove, for example, how it can lose its content quicker than if you only play it a little bit every day.
Yeah, you just get bored of doing the same thing over and over, so you need to take a bit of time. I mean, for the guy that you're on about situation, I mean, like you say, it went off for a couple of months. The only thing that I would be bothered about for the way that I play it is, oh, what if there's an event on and I've missed that event, and then I have to wait so long, and then I will forever miss that piece of content out if it rewarded something that gave mastery, then I'd have to wait so long for it. So I'd always try my best to at least log in, get the daily reward, see if there's something like that that's come out, or in the case of Luxion, getting things from there. Whereas your chaos chest kind of things, if you don't get it, then go and craft it. It's not a problem. It's there and you can go back to it. Your events only come once a year, so take advantage of them while they're there, and then go, right, okay, that's my break time now, I'll jump off again.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the events, for example, the last one we had here was kind of, I think I did it in, first one I did in an hour and a half or something, like 2 hours, because I was also making a guide for it. But when I did it on my alt account, I did it in like less than an hour. I don't know, can't remember exactly how it was, but in less than an hour, for example. So even though some events might take longer, some is like pretty easy and just knock them out of the park pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what the type that they're going to make us do, or how many dungeons that are going to get grinded. I mean, they give us the opportunity, like if it lasts for a week or if it lasts for 2 weeks, like you don't have to rush it all. Just take your time. You can do one part a day or do this, or you can just go, yeah, but if I do it all now, I can get it over with, and then I can focus on content on something else.
Yeah, true. All right, so kind of like the last question before we head into like the main reason you're here. And of course that's the live stream notes, but like last thing, what is your goals right now for the game? What do you like, what do you want, kind of set your own goals for the game at the moment?
Right now I'm trying to keep the willingness up to want to get all my modules sorted out in Geode and get a bit more mastery on there. Ideally long term I would like to attempt to get back into the top 100 for total mastery. But as best as I can without having to pay anything, because I don't have the monetary values to go behind that yet. So I want to do as much of the free-to-play access that I can before I eventually have to buy a pack of some sort.
Yeah.
But really enjoying Geode right now, and I'm loving the group that I'm working with.
Yeah, that can also be an incentive to go through Geode, is to find some kind of group that also doing it. I see a lot of people, you know, running eggs or whatever they're doing and such, and actually feels like they're having a good time with it.
I just hope one day I might actually get one of those eggs that isn't bronze.
Yeah, me too. So okay, so right, the live stream notes. I think I have a bunch of questions for it because I'm very interested, and if somebody, like I said, somebody know. I use and I shout out probably every time I do the news show every single week. It's been a little bit tedious these last 2 weeks, 3 weeks it's going to be now, having no dev stream and no live stream notes to make a news show out of it. But so now that I am sitting here with you, I can thank you personally. I can say it over the internet straight to you. Thank you so much for doing it. It helps me out a lot, and now we're gonna figure out what it is.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, so first question might be like, do you work for Tryon or for Trove?
I do not. I am not affiliated with them in any way, shape or form. I took this upon myself one day. I'm sure we'll go into more detail of that, but no, definitely not a dev. Don't get paid for it.
Okay. Because some of the notes are pretty long, you know. I feel like some of them are pretty long, some are shorter depending on how long the dev stream is. And again, I don't know how much work goes into it, but I guess you can kind of explain that. How much work that goes into it, and or the process, basically, the whole thing, basically.
Yeah, no worries. So at the start, it'll just be I will load up each week the past stream notes that I've set out, so that I've got my own little template. So I've got my Q&A part, I've got my welcome, and usually I put something at the end to say thank you to people, or if there's something that they're going to be looking out for. But I've kind of dropped that part at the moment. So I'll watch the stream live. with the team as they're doing, well, hopefully showing us something decent. Going through to the Q&A part. Now that we've got James Kitsu doing the questions, he makes my job a little bit more difficult because he speaks so bloody fast. But as they're doing it all, I will then be transcribing as they're typing. As they're talking as best as I possibly can with his speed. If I don't get the question at that time, then that's when I'll go back and have to redo and have to listen to it all myself. And hopefully that they don't do a really bad accent that I can't get one of them. But should I get one where I'm really struggling, that's when I have to email the team myself and go, yeah, you need to help me out on this one because I can't figure out what's been said. And there's been a few occasions where either Fasty or Twixler or Dope Sheet will send me a copy of the questions and I can go, right, yeah, that's fine. I can actually type this in now because I understand what you're saying. So it's just a case of going in with their own real time. But as soon as their stream has finished, that's me concentrating for the next hour and a half to make sure I've got the questions down. But it did change a few months back where I'd had a concern from somebody that one of my questions wasn't specific enough to what they thought was the answer. So I gave them a verbatim for it, whereas beforehand it would literally be my representation of what their answers was, because otherwise it felt more of a giant copy and paste. This is what the question was, this is what they've said exactly. But in the case of some of them, it was a case of, yeah, you need to know that answer exactly as it said. So I hop in between every now and then just to make sure I don't get told off by people.
Oh, okay. So even though you don't work for Tryon, you kind of work with Tryon, if you can say, like, or Trove. More specifically, yeah. All right. So how is the what is it called? How is the devs feeling about you making these? Are they like, or how did they pursue it, or what can like opinion about it?
Well, I get a few messages from them every now and then on the threads. They'll give give positive feedback and thank me for doing it for each time that I go through. Really, sometimes they'll send me private messages. Very rarely do I get an email from them, but I mean, Fasty is ever so supportive. He's a fantastic community manager, and he's always there to support. I just call him my boss some days. I call him Boss Bulldog. I go, come on, help me on this one, kind of thing. And he's just really down to earth. So they're very thankful for it. I suppose it's one outlet that they wouldn't really have to do themselves because someone else has taken it upon themselves. I mean, if they wanted to, then they can. They still go into their own threads and they'll answer a couple of the questions that they don't get to cover on the stream, whereas mine's more a direct approach and it'll save people, having to watch it afterwards.
Yeah, and that's also kind of the idea behind my news show is that people can I always say in the beginning that they can just go in the description and just click the link if they just want to read it themselves, but they can also just sit back and let me read kind of the questions or what it was if they don't want to see like the whole dev stream. They can also do that, of course, but there's also mixed in sometimes they have like a segment with art, so it's like 10-15 minutes with just art, and maybe you don't want to watch that, so you just like skip over it or something like that. So
it's also that it's going to be giving your own opinions of what's being said as well, not so it's just completely verbatim of this is the question, this is the answer, but this is also what I think on it, and then you're reaching out to your audience and getting their opinions on it. So it makes a good segment, not just to only watch it from Tryon, or if you can't watch it from Tryon, you find your favorite streamer like yourself.
Yeah, and I like I said, I also come with my opinions of what I hear from other people and stuff like that, or maybe we have some kind of idea that we discussed on the stream, for example, and then I bring it into the new show and vice versa. So yeah, do you think that? Do you think that if you didn't do these live stream notes, that you think that the devs would take over and do them themselves, or do you think they will just be like, okay, that's not something we have time or effort to do?
Probably the latter, if I'm honest. They did try it at one point where Fasty had gone back into one of the threads and he would answer, going back onto each post and replying back to it and going, this is the answer to the question, this is the answer to that question. But more for it, they just go, right, well, we have the live stream. You are able to watch the live stream again. It is on repeat, or it can be on YouTube. This is another outlet for people that may not want to go through and watch it, or they may just want a summary. So I'm assuming really that they'd have more time to themselves to get on with more pressing matters if somebody else is available to actually offer the assistance. Yeah. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I think that they would be more scattered, where you kind of gather the information in like one place and make it more accessible.
It cuts down on a lot of forum threads as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think we got kind of the answer on how you started making these live notes, but could you really quickly recap on that? Like,
so obviously I've played for 4 years. I've actually been doing the live stream notes as of last week, 2 years now. It originally, that I'm aware of, started off back in 2016 in January. A player called Hero of Peace was doing them from the forums. He did them for about, he or she, not quite sure, did them for about 8 months or so, and then I noticed a bit of a time lapse between the next one. So with there being nothing there, I kind of took it upon myself and thought, right, there's nothing here, I'll do my own version of it and carry on from that. It went from there, it got a few replies, it started getting more views, and I thought, oh, well, I'm actually enjoying this, I'm bringing something back to the community, and then just carried it on, and then 2 years later, here I am.
Oh, yeah. So that kind of answers also the question how long you've been doing it, because I was also curious how long you actually have been doing it, because I think I've been doing the new show for like around Christmas, I think that's, or just after Christmas, New Year's or something like that, and that's where I kind of noticed them on the forums, and and then I was like, oh, that's a way good information that I think I need to bring towards people or the community, basically.
Yeah, it's last Sunday 2 years ago, 2nd of September.
Awesome. So I guess the question is also, why do you do it? You know, is it for the community, or is it for yourself? And we kind of touched on it. It's not for the devs, but yeah.
I mean, it helps the devs out. It's not something that they might want to do themselves, or if they did want to, they can obviously take it over and do what they like. But it's just all for the community. It gives me something to do. I'm not really too bothered. I really enjoy doing it. I love giving back to the community and helping them out. I'm always available in global chat answering people. So this is just one of my ways, my outlets to give back to the community and go, here's something to help you all out. Any problems, give me a shout. Any questions or a feedback, forum that they've got there. Each thread, it's got everything that the devs have been talking about, so it's a place for people to go into it and go, well, actually, no, I don't like that, or, oh yeah, I really like that, and then they can jump into the threads, look at all the comments that they've got, and it's a more based area for them to go, right, here's an area of feedback, we can look at this, and they can take it to each of their weekly meetings and see if there's anything that can actually help and improve the game.
Yeah, because that's the main goal, right? Is to get the information to the people, get information from people back. Create that bridge between developers and community, basically.
Yeah, feed it through the channels and then see what they can work on.
Yeah, and so would you be interested in working for Trove or for them? Not in a, I know it's not about the money. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, would you do it? Would you be interested in like getting something for it, like from Joinworld, and kind of like working for them, kind of in a deal?
I'm not sure. It's a random question. I'd love to work for them. It'd be great. But I'm assuming they're kind of community stuff that they do, you would still have to be like a coder or working on the art team or the graphics and the modding section. But if it was just a pure development situation where I could do community work, it would have to be in my country, and I'm assuming I would have to go over to their offices. So I can't see them making an offer on that, but it would be very interesting for that.
No, but I was thinking
yeah, I mean, I do get a few rewards every now and then. I will admit to that. I've been given a few codes. When the Griffins came out, I got 4 of them to, 2 for me and 2 to give out to people. I get special little things like, thank you for this, here's a mount, or I've got a couple of developer allies that the team give me just for being community orientated and helping out. So it's nothing big. It's just
No.
a small way to say thank you. But yeah, I love it.
I think that I think that the developers are very much so, and I think that a lot of people out there has had experiences with the developers being not responsive or not being kind, or in many other ways kind of distant, and they don't feel like they have it. But I think it's because many people have a negative kind of attitude towards them because of the game probably not being like 100% a triple A title. It has the glitches, it has its lag, it has its different, but because it's a smaller game, they don't have the same budget for making a triple A game as we have World of Warcraft or something like that. And I think people have a negative already when they contact the developers. They are going to have something negative with like fix this, fix this, fix this. But I feel like I've also had really, really great interactions, both also with Fasti and with other of the developers. I even had Kumar on this podcast, and Trixler has also been here in the chat sometimes and whatnot, and always been positive. And I think it's because I had a positive first impressions, or I was positive towards them, and they were then also positive towards me. And I think if you just are negative towards them, they're also going to be that irresponsive, or not being like, oh, this is more hate, I'm not bothered with all this hate that they receive at sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll split that. I'll split it up into little categories for that. So obviously, like you said, Trove isn't a AAA title. It's a voxel-based sandbox MMO. It's got its own group of people that it's trying to reach out to. It reaches out to much more than would have been expected for that. People will look at it and go, oh, it's just a copy of this game, or it's a copy of that, but it has its own ideas, its own initiatives, its own team and community backing it, and they do amazing with what they have and the resources that they've got and that is being put into it. So to compare it to another best-selling worldwide game and going, yeah, well, Trove's got this, but this has got that, and that doesn't have any bugs, and they've got people that they can pay for it, it's still their own project. It's going to have a few flaws in it. And if the community would then realize that these things happen, this is what the job is for them, they have to go in to fix it all. There is no 100% cure for lag. It's never going to happen. Better server, it's not going to fix it. There will be alternative options and ways around it, and the team will eventually get to that, and they will have their own reasons and restrictions and budgeting and all the higher ups getting involved. But like you said, if you just go to them and it's all in a negative manner, fix this is bad, I don't like this, it's not the reactions that they want. If you actually had a positive way of going, right, I don't really like this, here's a reason why, maybe you could consider this, would you look at this option? It's going to give them more constructive criticism than, this mount is horrible, I think you should change it, why did you make this world like this, nobody likes it. Well, you say nobody, but we've got all these people that are playing. So it's like, come to us with that kind of positive atmosphere of, you want to help, you want to make the game grow, you want to still be here and enjoy it. If you come to us with that, we're going to do our very best and help you as best as we can so that you continue to enjoy and support the game. But it all comes down to being supportive as a community as well.
Yeah, that's very important. The community, be more positive towards the game, is also going to build that bridge stronger, and the developers are going to be more enticed to interact with the community and do more for the community as well. If they got a community that is just hateful or anything like that,
toxic,
toxic, exactly. They are also gonna step back. They're also people, that's what people sometimes forget, and also forget that there's a very, very small company compared to, well, small and small. Overall, the games, they're not a small company, but Trove is a smaller game, even though recent articles said that there's 17 million accounts, but keep in mind that it's, of course, also a free-to-play game, so people make an account and then maybe never play it. So there's a very, very small fraction of that actually pays for the game or sends money their way, and they also have to live. We talked about that on when Kumar was on, and they're not machines. They're actually people that also needs food and shelter, and they got to get it somewhere. And they work for this game. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, you see them, you might catch one in game, you can have a chat, you can see one on Discord, you can roll off some ideas if they had some time, or you can contact by the forums. They're all people, they're doing this because it's their job, and usually people like to enjoy their job. So throwing everything negative at them is just going to give them that kind of impact and attitude where, well, I'm doing this for you, I really hope that you would like my work, but if you give me the feedback, I'm happy to improve on it and do my best and work on it. And that's the attitude that I would look to them and hope that they would look back at us. And I believe they do. They do their absolute best to change what they think is necessary, although some things can't be always 100% to what the community will demand of them. Like, we know Trove is a grindy game. It's grindy, but are you going to be playing it for much longer because of that aspect? It's got all its time-gated features, but does it have to be so time-gated? Could there be an extra way to do something? And it's just putting those kind of things in front of them, and then hopefully they look at the community's ideas and opinions, evaluate it, and then see how things go. Just some areas take a little bit longer than others.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people a lot of times, is that some people have like great ideas for, I don't know if I feel like they're great ideas, but the developers might not think it's great ideas for like classes or anything like that. And I always tell them, maybe it sounds really outrageous, but if you post that on the forums or post it on the Reddit, whatever you want to do, mostly best on the forums, because the Reddit is absolutely horrible. But if you do go to the Reddit, it's a good laugh as well if you know a little bit about the game and such. So it's both. It's kind of like failfish, but also kind of funny. But enough about Reddit. The point is that if you go to the forums, post something about a class or anything like that. Maybe it's like crazy overpowered, but there might be ideas in there they can like pick out of or take something from, and just just help out, and just like you did, you kind of just took the torch from the guy and kept doing the live stream notes, and the more we can do for the community. Maybe it's not going to be as successful maybe as what Zero does, but everything helps towards the community. And as you can hear, he's actually also, rewarded for it. But I don't think it's your mindset. You should go into it with like, oh no, I'm going to help the community and I'm going to get a bunch of free stuff. I don't think that's
the thing that they want to avoid, where you go in. I mean, the one big thing we'll be looking at, let's say, look at the modders. Amazing, fantastic pieces of work, it's art, it's amazing what they do. And I've just seen the latest submissions that have come out, and you look at it and think, wow, you've done exceptionally well. And this just a piece of art that you're bringing to this game, you give it to them, they've accepted it, it's going to be coming in, you'll see your own creation, it gets in there, and you do get a small reward for it. I said, if you don't make it your mindset, you just want it to get something and see if it would go in game. But that is one little extra thing that could be added on there. Just helping out and not wanting something back can also just mean such a great deal. Just helping that extra one person in a global chat instead of hiding away in a club chat and refusing to talk to people. There's no need to hermit yourself off. That other people in the world might actually want a bit of support. And just be there for other people if you can. You're not always 100%. Just jump in every now and then.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody in chat's asking if I could tell something about the guest. We have already been going 45 minutes, but I can answer that he's not working for Trove. This is his own time and effort he puts into the live stream notes. So just a little quick recap is that he... there's a live, there hasn't been one for 3 weeks, but there normally is a dev stream on Fridays where they talk about different news and whatnot. And Zero then afterwards makes the live stream notes. Basically, he types down every question and every answer there is to them and posts them on the forums. I use then the live stream notes to make the news show. So if you watch that one, you can see that. And I kind of shout it all out him every time, and that's why he doesn't stream. He's just used as the forums. So if you want to catch him, you gotta go to the forums.
You could always message me inside inside the game if you want a quick chat about something. I'm always happy to, or just leave me a message from the forums. I'm happy to respond whenever I can see it after work.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I guess we kind of recapped, or we talked a lot about these live streamer, but that's the whole reason you were here, because I really wanted to know some more about it, because I think it's, for me, looking at it, it seems like a lot of work, but if it's something you used to do as your real job, you know, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but I wanted to just know some more about you and the live stream notes.
Sorry, what? I blanked then. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's something I enjoy. It's just it's one part of my daily job that I would do anyway. A lot of audio typing and listening to consultants and doctors and assisting now. That's my own home way of the community. I deal with the people that are in the hospital, and then I've got my own stuff that I do on Trove. I help out. Doesn't mean that I can attempt to get a day off sometime in Trove. I might shut myself away for a bit and go, yeah, I really can't answer this right now. I'm going to go kill some people in Bomber Royale. You know, have a break.
Yeah, exactly. So kind of changing subject from the live stream modes, but kind of keeping in touch with Trove. We're going to talk about some Trove now, or the game specifically, and something actually Chrono put in the thing or in the chat is that she says that they she mentioned something about the drop rates of the eggs and companions and rarities and such, and they've refused to do that. And of course, not all request or anything like that gets accepted, no matter kind of who you are in the community. And I think that, but it shouldn't discourage you for putting in request or suggestions. That's what I mean. Right, cool. So the next thing we're going to talk is, of course, the recent update we had. There's the improvement update we had. So first of all, how are you feeling about the patch overall? It's also community-wise, so kind of fitting for what you do.
The main thing I like about it for that improvement update was that they took most of the ideas from the community. I mean, not all of them. You can't take everything and throw it in there. But, you know, they reached out and they went, right, this is our forum. Please throw in some ideas. What do you think needs changing? What do you not like? What do you think needs a quick tweak? And then we got this small patch, but, you know, reasonable for the work that's gone into it. We don't know how difficult a single line of code might be, because it could affect something else. You may think that showing only your top friends might be such a really simple little thing, but that code could then affect maybe a badge, maybe something else, maybe your D&D list. My favorite ones are the camera, so that we don't have to keep on zooming in and out every single time we get into a world. However, it doesn't seem to be working so great with Geode recently. Don't know if that's just me or if I need to change my settings somehow, but I'm going to test it out a bit and then pass it on to the dev that worked on that, because I'm good friends with him. The loot button seems to be quite a good one for people, so that you can get rid of all that lower end stuff and then just pick up what you want. Not so great if you're still after the styles, but still a really handy thing. And for all the builders, Cornerstone undamageable has got to be a definite big one out there. I mean, Keatsy was jumping for that for years for all the times that she kept on bombing inside her Cornerstone, and I feel her pain because I've done it, and I'm sure many other people have done it.
Yeah, done it. I've done it as well. So yeah. So those are the things you kind of like most about it. What do you think like is still missing? Like what things could they actually have put in there that you would, or maybe you heard somebody's like complaining that why didn't put in these things and whatnot?
See, that one's a difficult question personally, because I've tried looking at it thinking, oh yeah, that's great, but you know, what more could have been in there? And it's like, well, at this stage in time, I look at the game and go, well, yeah, I like this. And there might be a time where I go, oh, it's a shame that they didn't do this, but it never just jumps and sticks in my mind. And it might never be something that I'll even go onto the forums and go, did you never consider this? But it might then pop up in a bug report on the forum and go, oh yeah, I remember that. Like when we had the gas bug, it was a shame. It took a long time to get it fixed, but it's finally done. Now we've got a few more uppity ones that have caused a bit of drama and dilemma across a few of the higher up people. The lower end of the PR players aren't going to necessarily see that as much, but ideally that would be something I'd like to get fixed. It's not an area that I enjoy with the speedrunning part. I can't really do it. I don't have the stats for it, but I feel the pain of the people that have put all that effort in to get those times, and now it's kind of taken away from this one or two or three silly little things. And I know there are more. Obviously, I'm not really allowed to discuss and go into them for the whole TOS kind of thing. But those are the things I'd like being fixed. The ones that you may not see every single day, but they're hiding in the background, and you know that it's actually happening there, like skipping, that kind of situation. I'd love those things to be fixed so that you know it's all on an equal and level playing field, and that you know everyone's actually getting things and they've earned it and they've worked for it, and you've actually got some kind of status there, and go, yeah, you know, well done, you've done really well on that. Not so much, well done, you managed to push a few buttons on a script and you did it 300 times, congrats on your badge. They're the main things that I really love to get fixed.
Yeah, 100%. And as Chrono says, also some of that code is probably old and like she called it, probably spaghetti. It's probably all filtered in there. And as you said, that there is some stuff that I'm also surprised that they, you know, when I'm reading the I'm usually streaming when they have the dev stream, and then I read, you know, the live stream notes that you make, and then it says sometimes that people have a question, can you get this fixed, or can you put this in? For example, the showing, for example, each club you're in, you can see like a tab, you can kind of tab where it shows you the, like your primary club, like have it where you can click the different ones, so you could see like each you know,
yeah, I know what you mean. It's the part, so you can see like the activity part.
Yeah,
that bar there, you can see what's actually happening. I mean, even an update of putting all the friends list, you're having to continuously go through the edit roster to kick somebody out or to check something. That was just one that could be, you'd think, would be quick to fix.
But it's actually, they've said that it's a harder job than it is, and
that it actually looks. Yeah,
exactly.
But going back just quickly though to Chrono's one about the eggs, I mean, I completely agree with Chrono, and there's so much feedback going on with those eggs. I really wish that they'd look at it a bit more and consider it, but there could be something higher up that we're not aware of, and there's a reason why they're not going to change those drop rates so significantly that it's noticeable. We might just come to it where it's like, oh, it's an extra 1% or an extra 2% chance of finding it. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to find a golden egg. I mean, I wish the best for everybody and hopes that they'll get them.
Yeah.
But it would also be one of those, well, yeah, say we increase it to 5% and 10%. If you finish that content, you finish that content. It's done. You've done it. Congrats. It's another one of those time-gated measures of it's making it last a bit longer. But is this really worth the aggro of all the community going, yeah, but we've been doing it for months now and I still haven't gotten a golden egg? I said, do you not think that's bad? And it's like the Starfire Fragment, that's been the biggest peeve for me as I've been playing. I just think the drops are nearly non-existent, and it could be looked at, it might not be looked at.
Yeah,
I hope it is.
Especially and now that you mentioned the Starfire Fragment, I think the drop rate is fine, and I know people are gonna like hate me for me saying it, but it does increase on Fridays and such. But there's what I think they should fix around them is that every monster in there should have, like, you know, the equal chance of dropping it. I'm not saying they should increase the drop chance, but of course that will happen because every monster will be fixed. But there has been talked about on the live stream. On the devs live stream, that people have asked that it's not all monsters, because some of them are copied from the Shores of Everdark and doesn't drop items, so people kind of assume that they don't drop the fragments either. And I think they've kind of confirmed that, or they would at least look into it, and I think that is something that should be fixed. And then by that, of course, the drop rates would be increased because all monsters then drop it.
it might be more noticeable then as you're going through, say you're killing 20 elites and then it turns out 16 of them are all from the Everdark, and it's like, oh right, well that's 16 drops that I'm never going to have the chance of getting. But that's because they put the Everdark monsters in there. They gave nothing, they just invaded the tower. So if they were to add that in, which they have spoke about on the last stream, they are going to look at it and add the drops on there. It's an extra bit there, but then it means that if they do that, the drop rate isn't going to be increased, but the chances, you've got a few more with all those extra mobs.
Yeah, I think 100% that. I think it's amazing. I'm also in a kind of that team Starfire, if that makes any sense, where I would love to have a category only for the Starfire boss or dragon, so you couldn't get it from the what is it called, dragon effigy either, because I would love to see like a very exclusive dragon. Maybe remove its stats or anything like that, or give it some fun stats that doesn't mean anything. But it would be a dragon that would be kind of exclusive to see. Oh, he farmed a lot of fragments. He spent a lot of time. He didn't just unlock it with like a what is it called, the golden dragon effigy. And then remove maybe the stats so it doesn't fit into anything like that. But it would be like more what is called prestigious.
A prestige, yeah. So kind of like what they did with Disayon then, before they decided that it was going to be given out for buying and that kind of stuff. You went through all the whole refer a friend process, and that way your prestige was showing that you have managed to get more people into the community for this. But sadly, it was more like, oh, I've just referred 29 alts. Congratulations, I leveled them up whenever I was bored, and it's probably the case for most people. But yeah, it would be a great idea, or they could at least remove it from legendary and put it into ancestral, because the way that they've been going on with the whole ancestral dragons is that's a specific way that you have to get those fragments. It's like you have your souls, get all your souls, you're working your way towards it. Get all your dragon fragments, you're working your way towards it. So why Starfire didn't go into ancestral, I really don't know. But then if you look at other ones, like Blocktron, that got turned into it. Zendry's still a legendary. So how long is it going to be before they then decide, well, actually, Zendry matches exactly the same as Blocktron. You get it through your clubs. We'll put that into ancestral as well.
Yeah, 100%.
So I agree what you mean. A bit more prestige. You can look at it and go, right, these people have worked really hard. This is their reward, and you could show off for it. Like your Phoenix. I've forgotten its name now. Chrono won't know the name for it. Mastery 700 one, and it's really, really bothering me now. But yeah, that one, I see it around, and it's amazing. And it's just, I mean, it could use a bit more VFX personally, but it's something that you can go, you've worked really, really hard on this. That's great to show.
Yeah, exactly. And
let me nod in agreement. Chrono in the chat, I agree with that.
just nod. Yes, okay, Chrono. All right, yeah. So the improvement update. There's a few things we could see that could improve more. I think that would be a good idea to. I don't know how big of an effort they put into this update, but I would like to see this like every at least 6 months or something like that they gather a lot of requests from the community and kind of smash them together in one big update.
Yeah, it seems like a really good thing that they've done. I mean, it's not like it's taking the massive slot of, these are our set times in our schedule that we've got for the year, and we put this little update in there, but it encompasses so much that's going to help out on it. It might seem like it's more split in each one of the other little updates and hot fixes that they do, but then seeing it there in that bigger version of it, it's like, right, this is what we're going to do. Definitely might agree with the 6 month thing rather than doing one a year, because you might get to it and go, right, here you go, here's a year's worth of updates, but then you've had the community begging and saying, please, can you do these updates? And they've waited an entire year and then it's all come out on one. That would probably annoy me more than a 6 month one, because you'd be waiting so long and it's like, please just bring it out. We know that you're working on it. And I don't want to wait until, say, December for it. Yeah. So maybe 6 months, or even maybe every 4 months.
Yeah, and I
might
think
be quite reasonable.
some small like things like, or at least I feel like the devs was like, okay, you can get this. Was the name, the different colors of names you could have? It seems like that when people ask for it, it's like, sure, you guess you can get that. You know, it's like they didn't even think that there was something like that would be. It was big for the community, but the devs was like, okay, we can code that. This doesn't take very long. So like small things like that also feels like for the community that they get heard and they get like something. We also talked recently on the stream. We also talked about customizing your what is it called, seal, your shield and wings, whatever isn't called shield, seal.
Sigil.
Sigil, yeah. The sigil, if you don't like, for example, there's a few people that don't like the new one, the 700 plus thing.
Yeah.
The what is it, twirls or whatever it is. And
I'm in agreement with that one. I really don't like it. I like the one beforehand.
And what the problem is kind of with the sigil is that maybe you have a bunch of mastery, but you don't have very high power rank, or the other way around, so it doesn't look very. Maybe you have a green shield and the wings or whatever, so it doesn't fit like what it is. Not that it's that big a deal, but that's kind of like the same thing with the names. It doesn't really matter if you have a blue, or yellow, or white, whatever name you have, right? But the point is, you would like to have something that fits. If you like, for example, the older wings, or maybe you just want to go down to having the absolutely lowest, if that's what you feel like. I think that's some, cool.
It'd be an interesting customization thing. Definitely, definitely it'd be a very interesting one, but it'd be very, very trolley.
Yeah. But my point just being that these small, probably improvements, it would be a good cycle, doing the improvement update after summer and doing an improvement update after winter, or after New Year's, and then having the big updates at the end of the year as we're getting U10 the end of the year, and also maybe a big update, or bigger update, I would say, before summer. So it's like you have those 4 updates running every 6 months of each other. I think that would be a good cycle to get into. So speaking of U10, we don't know much yet. We were hoping to know some more, that they would drop a big bomb on yesterday's stream, as we're doing this on a Saturday. But we really didn't. So I think we're not going to discuss too much about everything. We have talked about it before on the previous podcast. But to touch on it a little bit, I think it would ask you, Zero, what do you would like to see in the U10 update, besides the things that we kind of know with like new gems and new tiers? But is something else you would like to see in the U10 update?
It was talked about quite a few months ago. They wanted to try and make the dungeons and that kind of stuff on Geo not just as the same as going on to Trove, go in, kill a boss, there you go, you're done, blow the wall, and then get your gem box inside the end of it. That they were going to try and make different types or things that you had to do. That kind of idea, that's what I'm wondering what they're focusing on there. Is it just going to be another carbon copy with a nice lovely environment around it and a few new mobs? Or are they going to go away from the single boss, the cursed skulls, that kind of attitude there? But if they did, it's what they're going to try and make us end up doing. Like, are we going to have to like the what used to be the free Trovians? You gather 3 people, then you get yourself the box there. Are we going to have more of that kind of stuff? Is there going to be like a bigger version where you might need 5 people, and then you're having to do a lot more hassle of asking people to join in? Is it going to be more puzzle based kind of thing? Because we had Geode and it was more, mining, and it encompassed the peaceful aspect. And although they said, yeah, you're going to have more combat in it, are there going to be more bosses? Are they going to add maybe more different abilities that they have? Are they going to give them more? Are they going to end up, spawning spiders and mushrooms and a reflex shield while throwing comets in the air all in the same dungeon? Or is that just going to give too many VFX all at once and just crashes every time? Yeah. So I'm interested to see what kind of dungeons that they're going to throw in there. The scenery that we can see looks quite nice, like the ruins that they have there. And then when they get into the final arcs, what kind of shadow creatures are we going to end up fighting, and what's the boss situation going to be like? Is it going to be a big world boss? Is it going to devastate anything? A lot of things to look towards. So definitely going to be an interesting one, and I'm going to look forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I would love to throw an idea at you. We talked yesterday about they've hinted at the Shadow Labyrinth. I think that's the name they had for it. Whereas we don't really know what it is, but what we talked about yesterday was it that because Diablo has its greater rifts, you can go endless in the greater rifts. You're limited, of course, with your gear and whatnot. But recently, Path of Exile, which also is a free-to-play game, also introduced in this league also an endless mine. You can go to endless depths in the mines. It gets, of course, harder and harder as you go down. Yeah. How do you feel about a greater rift kind of system for Trove, where it's more focused on group play? You put in factors of healing, and you wouldn't get, every time you defeat something, you wouldn't be able. Well, I guess you can use the flask that every time you crit, you could get a flask charge, but you would start out having full flask, and then you wouldn't be replenished your flask over the time, so you would be more reliant on healing, tanking, and such. And then it would be no rewards. There would not be anything you can drop because it's like speed runs now. People just do it as fast as they can. I know there's a bug right now, but I'm saying like normally, and there is no reward for being being in the top 100 besides the purple name. So there could be a different kind of name for being like the ones that went furthest this week in the what is it called, like the labyrinth, for example, or the maze, or whatever you're gonna call it. Again, no reward, but just a ladder where you can see which group, 8 people went the furthest in this, or in the depths, or whatever you're gonna say. How do you feel about such an idea?
I mean, it's a really interesting idea. That got brought up months and months ago. They called it Shadow Tower 2. And it was an idea of making it an endless type of Shadow Tower. You'd consistently go through, the enemies would get stronger as you were going, but it was planned to have some kind of reward for it, whether it be another one where you get just a different colour name, or you might get a sigil next to it, or it could be something that they could reward a style that would give no mastery, so that it wouldn't affect all the people that are diehards out there. It would literally be a show off. Here you go, I've earned this. Have a look, wow, or a different type of costume for a class if you went through with that, or a new type of emblem for your sigils or the wings, any kind of different ideas that they can throw through. But yeah, it would be great because it could utilize all the classes that aren't getting played as much. They're doing all the reworks. You've got your Chloromancer, it's like a healing class. When does it really heal too much? Your Revenants, your tanks, your Ice Sage with its new, it's starting to slow down the enemies more. When they start to rebalance all those other classes is when they might start to think more on that, and then get us that group content. It might not just be as simple as a raid in another one, big monster, here you go, lots of health, congrats, you did it all. But yeah, making it more difficult, making more limiting factors. You can't heal in this round. This one's got more enemies in it. They start to spawn with their own abilities. Can your team cope with it? Can you cope with a strategy? Can you get everyone together? Even if it is just another group of 8, it would be a really interesting idea that they could focus into, but it would probably require a ton more effort for it, so I don't know how long that would take them, but I'd love to see something like that. Even if I wasn't able to do it myself, I'd love to just see other people try it, and there'd be someone who'd get through it desperately trying the hardest. I'd even just watch them if they did a stream for it. I know a few people, even in this chat, I know definitely Chrono would go for it, wouldn't you, Chrono? It'd be a fantastic thing to try. Please try on, do something like that. As long as it gave something that it wasn't going to just penalize all the people that were lower, so you can't do this content, sorry, this is only for us. But if they tried it, they could get something of a lesser type of reward. There's something there for doing it, so that it's not just like the speedrunner one at the moment. You get your purple name, and then you're done. But give other people an opportunity. It might be like, can you climb the tower? You've done 50 floors of consistent waves that have got, worse than every 5 floors or 10 floors. There's a bigger, badder boss with more abilities, more health. Even looking at Dark Knight Dreadnought at the moment, it's got its different types of shields. Can it have any more? Can it have more weapon functionality? Is it going to start nuking the floor more? Is it going to nuke it in the corners instead of just in the middle? Or change different spots around? Is its fire going to encompass in a circle, or is it just going to be random and sporadic in the air? Taking all those different kinds of ideas and throwing it around, you've got a lot to play with and a lot to contend with. And I bet even the devs themselves, if they had the opportunity, to jump in and try those different things, look at it and go, yeah, this is a challenge. We like this kind of idea. And if people, rallied to the forums for that and posted all their ideas for them, they definitely get looked at because it's an extra bit of content for people.
And some people saying in chat like they want not like to see it become like World of Warcraft mythic dungeons, and that's not the idea behind it, because the mythic dungeons in World of Warcraft is that you go higher and you get better loot and better things and whatnot. This is not anything to do with loot. You would not get anything at all out of it besides better. If you go, like you said, floor 50, for example, somebody goes floor 51, then they're number one, and then you would, like you said, get
it would just be a prestige
emblem, different color name for that week or whatever, just like we do now for the speed runs, as it's it is something people, what's it called, the Triumph World implemented the ladder, but it's more people that gather their own groups and just smash buttons really fast, and then you get it down as quick as possible. And this actually incentives like more group play, and not you have to go fast, because there would be no timers on how long you can do a floor. You can do it forever if that's what it takes you, but
just to say that you've done it and you've competed through it all.
Yeah, exactly. And
it'd be a fun aspect. It's just as long as they can make sure that all people are able to play it. That was one of their main thesis with like the extra worlds that they were adding in. They limit it to certain PR, because they know that the rest of the groups will be able to eventually catch up to that. Like when they're going to do the PR for U10, they've added U8 and U9 and U10 so that you can jump into the content. Most people will be able to access it. They don't want to restrict everything off to just be in one specific group, otherwise your content just becomes invalid.
The whole idea is that people should be able to do this from like level 1 with 0 power rank and 0 mastery, but you wouldn't get very far. So of course it's going to be like the people that has like max power rank, of course, is the people that's going to go the furthest, but there's no restriction on when you can start doing it. There would just be something, okay, we're a group of like 10k power rank people, and we want to go in and we want to have some fun and see how far we can get on the ladder, for example. And then, of course, the people that are going to have most power rank is maybe actually going to go furthest. You don't know. It's all about also keeping people alive and whatnot. So it's not.
That's where the tactics and the strategies,
So, and as Manute says, it's the illuminated names for the top of Shadow Tower 2, as they say. Rainbow name. But yeah, so there's definitely some stuff I think that they could implement, and of course the speedrun thing is easier to do because it can just make a ladder because the Shadow Tower is already there. So of course it takes more to make a whole endless tower, and then also a leaderboard kind of thing going on there. And what is the what's it called? Like what is the premises of the different ones? Are they going to increase in difficulty every 5 floors or every floor or whatnot? So
something to keep people active. Do you remember a good 6-7 months ago or so, they came up with an idea to make some kind of more water-based boat dungeon, and I can't remember its actual name. It was like a fort, and it had like barriers around the actual dungeon, and you would actually have to be on your boat, and you would shoot down the barriers to be able to actually get into the dungeon. They could incorporate something like that into the geode section. Maybe not boats, but something like that players could go for. Sorry, that was just jumping back to the previous one when I thought about it.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure that.
That's definitely would be also had to be shown or see more mechanics. That'd be amazing. We did see, like you said before about the Dreadnought, that we did see different shields, the one shot mechanic, whatever, and different tactics on how to defeat him and such. And it would just incentive more, and also make it so more. They can do more in healing classes, basically, because, like you said, also with the Chloromancer, nobody really uses it for its healing. People use it still just for the damage. The healing is just a bonus.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes us to like more or less the last question. I think we're gonna skip talking about the reworks and stuff like that. We have been going for almost an hour and a half, so I think at this point, I think we can kind of shut it off with the one of the last questions, if you don't have any more after that, but we'll get to that. But let's ask the next question about will the U10 update bring what people are looking for? You think that in sense of endgame, basically?
Okay. So just from an endgame perspective or from an all game perspective?
You can do both. That would be.
So from if you can consider me end game, because I'm not top this or top that, I do what I can do.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure how the situation for the dungeons is going to be. I mean, it's going to bring us some new gems. We know that it's going to give us a new stat type. What's that going to do, and how is it going to affect outside of U10? Outside of Geode, is it only going to be on there? We've got the new Primordial Dragon that's going to come, the update afterwards. What's that going to be like? What's that ability going to be? Is quite an interesting one. I mean, the others do something to an extent. Is it going to be another one that just looks pretty, or is it going to give us maybe extra running speed because we've already got the flying one with Scintilla? It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I just hope it doesn't turn to a bad one. As long as the game will progress and it gives us that speed to be able to go at our own bit, and that we're not forced to do this, otherwise it's over. But enough there that we can continue it onwards. The gems, I think, are just going to fall the same way that we currently are, level them up. I know that there's not going to be in the Empowered Gem boxes, so there must be some other way to get this new type of gem as well. Maybe a new contest, maybe something that can only be done on there. Are they going to implement the quests like the club challenges to that? And then there's a new Gigastormer. Why is it only on Geode, and what's that going to bring to us? So there's a few different sections that can be split up into. It just depends on what type of player you are and how you go for it.
Yeah, 100%. And as also Chrono mentions, is really important information as well, that Geode is phase 1, that when we have already implemented right now. Then U10 is going to be phase 2, and then the in-game content is going to come in phase 3 as later on. Do you think that the in-game content lies in Shadow Towers? Because we did have a Shadow Tower update, what is it, like a year ago now? The Eclipse update, isn't it? Like about a year ago since we had the Eclipse update?
I think so. I'd like it to not be, personally, because I mean, you do it. It's one of our weekly things. You can do it for your badges. You do it to make a bit of money. It would be nicer just to have something else than just Shadow Towers being the end game. You go, this is what you've got to do. You've worked your way towards it. It's nice having that pinnacle. Literally pun for word there. You get to the end of it, and there it is. That's what you've got to work for. But is there not going to be something more that can be offered? So, like that Shadow Labyrinth idea would be an extra bit. It would be fantastic to have something different to go towards. When phase 3 finally comes in, we have to fight Undertow and these masses and hordes of enemies that he's going to be sending. And how are they going to put that in there? Are they going to start doing more of a raid type of content? Is it going to start matching other games? But I don't know. It's all stuff that we get to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to see, as you said, something at least towards some more group play, like we talked about before with the Shadow Labyrinth thing.
It'd be nice to see some more single types as well. I know the focus is to have a group content, and you've got your community, you've got your basic one as your free Trovians group together, get a chest. You have your Shadow Tower, get 8 people. You've got Geos up to 16, I think it was, but you're not going to have a massive group of 16 of your friends all running into one same place. So even a type of single player content that will be good, that can still be accessible and doable, but you can still do it as a group as well, would be good.
Yeah, and with that, of course, have like a raid and group UI, like Saffron says in chat. Like that would also be great if you need to actually start like healing people or helping out in some way, as you actually have a role in this certain thing and actually work towards that. You know, as a club, for example, you know some people in the club, and it's gonna be like, okay, you guys, we're gonna get together, we're gonna do 8-man. I'm gonna use the word, but I'm gonna use quotations about raid. You know, I don't want like a raid kind of deal thing maybe, but my whole thing is that I also talking about, you know, Shadow Towers. I think that they might try to revamp Shadow Towers again, because people are wanting it a revamp again, because the Eclipse State was a little bit of a swing and a miss. Some things were good, some things were good, some things were not so good. But so I think they're just gonna try to revive this thing that's already dead. You know, it's like an old meme they're trying to bring back and over and over and over again. And I think that is not the question. That's not the answer to what we're looking for, or what people are looking for as a community to challenge themselves and bring the game to a higher level, basically.
I mean, it has to get a revamp of some sort as well, with all the new gems and the abilities and the extra stats that they're talking about that we don't know yet. If that is all just given to us now, and we're still doing the old Shadow Towers, then it's the same thing again, but now you're even more overpowered, and the times are going to get even more ridiculous. So how they're going to revamp that? Are they just going to smash it out? What about all the lowers? The lower PR people, they might get access to these things, but yeah, it'll still be doing the same thing. They'll have to provide an extra bit of content to suffice with those new things that are coming out. Otherwise, it will just drag and it'll be the same stuff. You can't give us armor-piercing gems if there's not going to be multiple armored, you know, individuals, mobs, enemies that we're actually going to be using them on, a point to actually using it. Like the removal of health regeneration, it had a good premise, but it had no proper use. Stability is probably going to be the next one to go, unless they start having more monsters that have excessive knockbacks, where you're going to need someone to have that stability to actually want to use that stat and incorporate it into your build.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would like to see the thing where people have different roles. You know, you are gonna be the DPS, you're gonna be the healer, and like you still have that where you just invite random people and stuff like that. But you also sit down with the group and actually take the time to do these things and take inspiration from like raiding in World of Warcraft.
Definitely going to need a UI for that, though. I agree with your chat. A better one would be great. Maybe one for inviting too.
Yeah. We could definitely have something better than just having commands and a little bit of a left click on people's names.
Oh, yes.
All right. I think we got through it all. Do you have anything you want to add before we close it off?
I don't think so. I think we've covered most of the things. The main real sign-off is just, you know, enjoy the game, play it at your own pace. You know, even if you've got your friends and they're running way ahead of you, and you just go at how you want to play it. There's no real rush. Have enjoyment in it. Play the class that you enjoy. Trial them all. See how different things work. Give your feedback. Help some people, and you might find the game to be a bit more enjoyable and less of a tiresome thing.
100%. And also even more important is that Trove has an amazing community. There's a lot of people working on a free basis, and maybe you have something you can help the community with. So don't hold back if you have anything. Maybe you will at some point be the one that actually doing the live stream notes. Zero will pass on the torch and somebody else will take that. But maybe there's something else. Like also this community podcast is also just inspired by myself. Well, it's inspired from other games, but I wanted to also do this for the community, bring the community together around knowing more people and the people around the game, both streamers, but also people like Zero that does like this on a volunteer basis, basically. So it is a community podcast for the community, around the community, for the community. I think I said that twice. I think it's
still important. It's important enough to say it twice.
Yeah, that's how important it is. So yeah, I think we're done. Awesome. So I want to thank you, Zero, so much again for coming on. I super much appreciate it. Thank you. I think we had a really amazing talk, and I didn't know we were gonna go this long without really having anything new to bring into the as a news thing because of the dry spell. Hopefully they'll be back next week, so you have a job to do.
Yeah, it keeps me active at least.
Yeah. So like I said, thank you so much, man, and yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'd love to.
So there's really nothing to. Normally I shout out people, their streams or anything like that. But like you said during the podcast, is that you can catch him on the forums. You can probably also catch him on Discord if you haven't on there, or in game. You can also probably find him there if you want to know something more about it, or maybe you want to bounce out some ideas, maybe some community stuff. That's always a good thing. Or if it is something you already think Zero may not be able to help it, you can always send a text to Fasty on the forums. He is the community manager. He's a very, very nice person. And yeah, if you have some ideas to something, you can always send them over there. So yeah. So I think we're just gonna say goodbye, and yeah. So again, thank you all so much for watching. And make sure you guys like it, the podcast, and you can also catch it live if you want to ask some questions. It's always on live on my stream, so yeah, catch it there if you want to. But that was it. Thank you again so much, everyone, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye. Take care.